Let's see how Chronon can help you efficiently monitor your IT infrastructure in a way that log files simply cannot. Currently, your IT infrastructure is cluttered by a bunch of log files produced by different systems in different formats and placed in different locations. However, there are some fundamental flaws with these log files. First off, there's the fact that this is 1970s technology that you're tacking onto your 21st century systems. But apart from that, there's some other fundamental flaws too. With log files, you're essentially trying to predict errors or data collection events in your system. However, in real life, this almost never works out. If there's a defect in your system, it usually occurs where you least expected it, and thus, there is no logging around that area. Same goes for data collection. If you already knew exactly what data to collect, it would already be in your database and not in your log files. There's the part where adding logging adds clutter to your code and increases development time. Log files also contain very sparse information. And if you add more logging to add information to that log file, it actually becomes tough to get actual data from that log file because you have to filter through all the extra noise. Also, there's the fact that log files, because they're produced by so many different systems, they each have their own format and they have to be parsed to extract data from them. And so log files have all these issues, but you're still stuck with them because they're the only way you can currently look inside your system to monitor it and collect data from it that you did not anticipate. And this leads you to purchasing these expensive log management solutions, which is more like applying lipstick to a pig. You see, the analysis these systems can perform is limited by the contents of your log files. And because of that, if there's any data that you want to analyze with these systems or any errors that you want to catch, you have to plan ahead in time for it and spend development time and money to add the relevant logging to your program. Also, if you forget to log something during development and you find out that you actually needed that information, then the use of that system becomes pretty useless because you don't have the data. Also, the more data you produce, the costlier these solutions get because they charge you by the amount of data that they index. So let's see how Chronon can help with all of this. This is the standard Java EE pet clinic sample application. It simulates a pet clinic and allows you to do things like add pets and their owners and see visits to the vets, etc. Now, while this application is pretty full-fledged, there's something the original design doesn't anticipate, which is that we want to be able to monitor how many pets are added daily to the clinic to see how the rate has fluctuated over time and whether there are any seasonal patterns to how pets are added. For example, do we get more pets during the winter season? Now, with traditional mechanism, this would involve going in and adding logging now and using a log system to monitor all that data. However, not only would this take development time and cost a ton of money, it would also mean that all the data for all the number of years that I've been running this pet clinic would be lost because no logging has existed till now that captures all the data. However, with Chronon, this is not an issue. So apparently we have been running this pet cleaning application with Chronon Recorder on. So here's my Chronon recording server and it shows me that I've been recording this application all this while. So now what I'll do is I will go and create a dashboard which will show me all that data. So here, this is the method that adds pets to their owners and puts them to the database of our pet clinic. So let's add a post execution logging statement here. And let's say we say pet added, and we'll put the name of the pet. All right. And then we push this dashboard to our server. Let's go to a dashboard and we configure this. And let's say we configure this to run from last week. And we leave the end time blank so it continuously keeps updating the dashboard as new data and new recordings are made. And over here we can select what machines and exactly what JVMs this dashboard is going to query. Over here we just have one machine, but you can select your entire data center to query. We save the settings and then we go to the dashboard. And we can instantly see all that data. So we can see the output of the log statement as if it was actually present in our program when it was running, and we can see the timestamp of that log statement. We can see the exact machine, the exact JVM that produced that log statement, and we have all that data. None of it is lost. And we can go to this graph view and we can see a nice graph of how these pets were added. And over here at the bottom we have this long view which shows an overview of the graph, and we can zoom in at a particular time range if we want. Well, you know what, let's go and modify this log statement a bit. I also want to see the owner of this pet. Owner is, let's see, owner name. I add that and I push this too. And now we have all the owners. We have the pets and the owners, and we have the graph. So as you can see, this is pretty generic functionality. I can create a board over here to see all the pets that have been added. I could create a bunch of different boards. You know, I could create a board for, say, monitoring all the emails that have been sent by my application and see how the emails were sent over time. I can see exactly who the emails were sent to. If there's any development related stuff, like if I want to monitor the number of objects of a class that were created, I can monitor that. I can monitor any business related event, and all of this can be done without cluttering up my code with logging.